that is definitely not a Coca-Cola. That's actually a really, really shitty Coors, okay? And I've hidden it with this fancy little piece of social engineering, a beer can slipperoonie, all right? This is great for concealing a beverage if you need that extra little piece of precautionary measure to drink in your dorm room or something like that. Or maybe you're just out at a tailgate and you're of age, no drinking in public allowed. Slide this guy on and I promise you, you'll get away with it. Now you might be saying, Chris, I can see that little slit of brownishness there and it's not quite perfect in the edges. I'll tell you what, people do not notice that. When they see a Coke can, they think Coke can. They will believe it. I'm gonna show you how to make one. The can that you pick is particularly important. You need an empty pop can, wash it out and everything. You wanna try and match it to the can that you'll be covering. So Coca-Cola works particularly well with Tecate. Pepsi would work well with like Bud Light because they're both sort of bluish. Just vaguely match, okay? You need an empty bottle of water. You can find these in a trash can, but unfortunately we had to buy them. That's how unresourceful we are. You need a cutting surface. I'm gonna use a piece of cardboard, but if you're an asshole, you could just cut it right on the floor of your dorm room and no one would be the wiser because you probably have that like tight knit carpet, you know, in there, or just tile or whatever they use in dorm rooms these days. And you need a cutting device. A box cutter would be great, an X-Acto knife. You probably don't want to jack up your nice little like fine X-Acto knife. So like a badass box cutter that flips out like a switchblade would be ideal, okay? Okay, so the first step is probably the hardest step actually. You cut off the bottom first. All right, now the reason that this is the hardest is because you have very little guidance. It's just your steady hand. So here we go. You can see with all these sharp edges how easy it would be to hurt yourself, so be careful. All right. Not a bad effort here, not bad. If you went in there and started trying to cut off this top part right now, you would completely collapse the can. So I'm gonna empty out the water bottle. So now this thing is pretty solid. And then I'm gonna stick it inside there so it'll hold the can together. Since you're gonna be drinking out of a can inside of this one, you don't wanna cut this so close to the top because then you'll have like a dangerous edge near your lip. There we go. You're going to need to slice down the side. So pick out a spot where there's kind of a seam. I like to just go along the nutrition facts thing, but you could find the actual seam of the can. And then you're just gonna try to cut a straight line here. And it'll probably start cutting through the bottle a little bit. This is gonna be great. You are gonna be so popular after this thing. Now at this point, you can either have the collapsible version, which you would make by just rolling this inside itself a bunch. You can tape it, put a rubber band around it, whatever to hold it still for a little bit so it bends into shape. And then that way when you put it around a can, it'll just kind of snap around. But I'm a perfectionist, so I like to just tape it into place. Put a little slice of tape on the inside there, the sticky part facing outward, and give it about a 1/16 of an inch of a gap there. Just like a really, really small gap. That's probably less than that. Probably like a 32th of an inch. Really small little gap. And then that'll go quite nicely over any regular sized beer can.